So I just got back from running and I took a shower, and while I was doing that, I was debating whether I wanted to do a video about this certain topic. And if you guys don't know what that is, well, Mystic Rips, a pretty famous Pokemon TCG YouTuber who also happens to be a famous Pokemon Go YouTuber, decided to quit his rip and ship business, which also delved into like mystery packs and all that. But his whole gig was basically rip and ships, and he actually hired people to do it, and he was actually pulling in millions of dollars in revenue. Now, when he released that video, a lot of people were really surprised, including myself, because, I mean, at this point, why would anybody quit the Pokemon business? Because it's actually the most profitable and is the most hyped it's ever been. So logistically, I just don't see why they would want to do that. But it turns out it came to more of a personal choice. Now, I'm not going to fully dissect everything he said because the kind of purpose of this video was more of a broader subject, not just Mystic Rips. But if you want the full context, make sure you watch his full video of it, because I feel like it was pretty down to earth and it was pretty genuine. And I thought it was just a good watch. It was interesting to understand the perspective of somebody that is managing a very successful business. It's always interesting to see that. Now, before we briefly cover why he's exactly, quitting his rip and ship business, I want to address the little elephant in the room here, because a lot of people don't really like Mystic Rips. He's quite the controversial figure, and in some cases, I don't really think that's warranted. Listen, it's funny coming from me because I made a video about him about like freaking, I don't know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But aside from that situation, which wasn't really severe, it was more of it looked bad more than it is bad per se. Since then, I feel like man, a lot of people hate the dude, and majority of the time it's just because of his character, if I'm deducing it correctly. A lot of times when people dislike Mystic Rips, it has everything to do with his persona when he does, live streams, or, when he does pack openings. Sometimes it's a little bit similar to Leonhard. A lot of people, make judgments of his character, says, oh my god, Leonhard, he has, he's soulless eyes and etc. Which, I mean, I never really liked that kind of argument. I feel like it is better in terms of debating or having a conversation to actually focus on the main criticism rather than just, attacking somebody on their appearance or etc. This is coming from a debate perspective. People are allowed to have their opinions about certain creators. Listen, if somebody dislikes me for being goofy, or they don't really vibe with my whole shtick, it's completely understandable. They're entitled to do whatever the hell they want. But going back to why he's shutting down the whole business, it came down again to a personal choice. He didn't feel like he was enjoying doing the business as he once had. And he didn't really like the fact that he was constantly in this hustle mentality. And if you guys don't know, having a hustle mentality in the TCG community, I wouldn't say it's a sin, because obviously it's an over-exaggeration, but sometimes it's looked down upon. It feels like you're always walking on eggshells and etc. Now, I can't be certain whether this is why he decided to step away from the rip and ship business, but he simply said that he didn't like how he was viewing the quote-unquote business, and it just simply wasn't being fun for him. Now listen, a business isn't meant to be fun for a lot of people. Okay, the most successful people don't really have fun. I bet Elon Musk or freaking Jeff Bezos, when they were starting their company, they don't really care about having fun. They just had this drive to be successful and to get a lot of freaking money. But for others, taking joy in what you're doing and being fulfilled while doing it is that goal. It's already hard to be successful in the first place, and now you are adding on that you want to be joyful while you're being successful. That's a whole separate argument. And have passion for what you're doing. A lot of people don't have that comfort, and they're just not really fortunate to be in that position in the first place. On top of that, Mystic Rips also had a little situation a little while ago where, whether it was, I believe it was an employee or somebody he was working with, but basically they scammed him off of $50,000, and that whole ordeal kind of traumatized him. Not traumatized him, but it definitely deeply scarred him. And since it was connected with the Pokemon TCG space, I guess it kind of made him really rethink doing this whole business idea. And I'm sure there's going to be somebody in the comments that say, oh, $50,000 isn't a lot for a millionaire. What are you guys talking about? But if you look at it objectively, it is a lot. And going through the whole process, maybe filing a police report, etc., finding the guy, it's just not fun to deal with. It's just really not fun. And I can understand why Mystic Rips, after that situation transpired, he started rethinking about his reasons for even being in this hobby in the first place. That was a very, very blunt and quick synopsis of why he's quitting the business. I still don't feel like I'm truly doing it justice, but again, that's why I urge you to watch the full video if you want the full scope. But one thing that I've noticed in his comment section, and I just find it just slightly, restarted, is that some people were accusing him of basically getting out of the hobby just before the dip. Oh, he's just freaking, he's dumping it all because he saw a little dip in the market. Oh, I knew it. And I just really don't understand that logic, because objectively, his business continued to grow every single month, every single year. Right now, his business is the most successful it has ever been, and most likely it will continue to grow as time goes on. Right now, there isn't really a dip in the market. It's not really a freaking crazy correction, in my opinion. Booster boxes, freaking Destined Rivals is still $250, $260 a box. I just don't understand this logic. If you told me a few years ago, actually no, like maybe 2 years ago, that Scarlet and Violet boxes would come out of the gate for $260, I would call you actually crazy. I would think there's no absolute way that this is even occurring. But now, that's the reality that we live in. Right now, he's pretty much leaving at right here. And there's still this much room to grow after that. He's leaving when things will continue to climb. In my personal opinion, logically, it wouldn't make sense why he would leave if he was worried about the money. Right now, it's the prime opportunity to make even more money. And not only that, one thing that kind of maybe solidified my opinion of why I don't think this is the case is that Mystic Rips has been around when Scarlet and Violet was very, very unpopular, when it was just $80 a freaking box. He was here when nobody wanted the Scarlet and Violet boxes. That's why I kind of believe him and his reasonings for quitting his rip and ship business. If I had a business that had a $1 million in sales in the first year and it kept on growing exponentially, brother, I'm not stopping, okay? Who would stop that shit? Except a person that isn't really digging the business anymore. And it's not like Mystic Rips is going to completely stop making Pokemon content, which he isn't. He said that he's still going to continue just without managing his once very successful business. But going a little further, after I saw Mystic Rips' video, I came to a solemn conclusion that I foresee a lot of people going down this road. Now, I see a lot of beloved YouTubers, a lot of successful ones stop making Pokemon content. Now, this goes for both the business side of it and also just the content side of it. I don't see a lot of YouTubers surviving this boom. And it happens in cycles, okay? Last boom that we had the cycle of content creators, popping off and then just stop making content. It happened a lot. I feel like a lot of people that are in the TCG Pokemon business side of it are getting very, very antsy. I feel like they think they're constantly walking on eggshells, because listen to this. Like, if you price a product too much, you're going to be called a scalper. If you make any sort of money, like the whole drama, this hassle of going through that isn't just appealing, even though you can make a large sum of money. I just feel like it's an unfortunate truth that I see a lot of people going through. And not even just the business side of it, again, probably even the content side. Maybe people are just getting burnt out. That's what I feel like, man. I don't know about you guys. I just feel, or just like this vibe recently, is that a lot of people are just getting freaking burnt out of this shit. And I really can't blame them. Listen, I'm having the time of my life. I will probably never stop making content because I love talking about certain topics. I love sharing my opinion. I love interacting with my audience too. So most likely, I'm not going to really quit because I enjoy this. I just don't foresee myself not doing that. But for others, I can't really say the same thing for them. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was a little yap sesh. It's a little bit more solemn than I would like. Not a lot of Vaporeon jokes. I would have loved to make a little bit more, maybe a few massive jokes that would have really, you know, pieced the whole thing together really nicely. But anyway, hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you later, weebs. Vaporeon.
せーのでもそんなんじゃダメもうそんなんじゃほら心は進化